Chapter 11, Mishnah 9. The previous Mishnah taught that if a cistern is completely covered by an olive basket, but the perach of a menorah comes between the basket and the top of the cistern, the basket does not block the tumah from making the perach and the menorah tameh, according to Beis Shammai. The Mishnah will now teach that there are some utensils that even Beis Shammai agree are protected from tumah when they come between the basket and the top of the cistern. Thin utensils that are resting on top of the walls of the cistern between the edge of the wall of the olive basket and the edge of the wall of the cistern, or even utensils that are inside the walls of the cistern or directly underneath them down to the depths of the ground, remain tahor. Very thin utensils, such as needles, resting on top of the wall of a cistern, are completely covered by the edge of the basket's wall and are not visible from the outside. Since the basket joins with the walls of the cistern to block tumah, these utensils are treated as if they are inside the walls of the cistern and are thereby protected from tumah. Similarly, any utensils that actually are in the walls of the cistern are also protected. Even utensils that are buried in the earth underneath the walls of the cistern are tahor. Since the covered cistern protects what is inside of it from tumah, it is considered an ohel of its own. The ground underneath it is thus considered part of the protected cistern and not part of the tameh house. The Mishnah now discusses the case where the source of the corpse tumah is not in the house but inside the cistern. If the tumah is there inside the cistern, the house becomes tameh even though the cistern is covered. Since the piece of the corpse will eventually have to be removed from the cistern and be brought through the house, the tumah spreads into the house immediately. The Mishnah returns to the case where the source of the tumah is inside the house and not in the cistern. The Mishnah now discusses a case where the cistern is not covered. Since it is not covered, it is obvious that any utensils inside it become tameh. The question addressed by the Mishnah is whether utensils located inside the cistern's walls become tameh. If there is tumah inside the house, the status of the utensils that are inside the walls of the cistern depends on the following. If they are in a place inside the walls that is an empty space of a tefach square by a tefach high, they are tahor, an empty space that this size is considered an ohel in its own right. Therefore, any utensils inside of it are shielded from tumah coming from outside of it. But if the place they are in is not a tefach by a tefach by a tefach, they become tameh. Since this place is too small to be classified as an ohel, they are considered to be in the uncovered cistern that is open to the tumah in the house. The next case also refers to an uncovered cistern inside a house. Here too, the utensils are not in the cistern itself, but in its walls. However, in this case, this walls holding the utensils is not underneath the house. If the walls of the cistern extended out beyond those of the house, that is, the bottom of the cistern was wider than the house, so that its walls were outside the walls of the house, and there were utensils in those walls, then whether the place holding the utensils is a tefach square by a tefach high, or whether it is not a tefach square by a tefach high, the utensils are tahor, since they are not in the same ohel house as the tumah.